In a world where you can be anything, be pink.
Are you ready to transform your golf game and life to amazing? Learn with us on the BPink podcast hosted by Presley, Pickron, and Sarah Cardova. Hi guys, welcome to the BPink podcast. I'm your host, Presley Pickron, with my co-host, Sarah Cardova.
Hi.
How's it going today?
Good, and you?
Good, I'm so excited to be here. This has been a long time coming. We're finally filming our first podcast.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So just to start off, tell me everything about you, about your golf experience, your past, everything.
Oh, there's a lot to unpack here. I just got into golf because of my dad. And I think that's honestly, if you ask every little girl who's golfed or every girl who's golfed, most of the time the answer is going to be they got into golf because of their dad. But I originally grew up around the golf courses. I always was on them, playing around on them. My dad built golf courses. So I just thought that was normal. I thought everyone grew up on a golf course. But I never wanted to do anything with it, to play the actual sport. I thought it was a boy sport. I thought it was, not cool. I thought it was boring. It wasn't until I was 16 that, my interest peaked. I was very, lonely in high school. I didn't have a lot of friends. I was starting to get bullied, and I didn't have really anything going for me. And my dad finally suggested one last time, hey, why don't you go play golf? And I was like, not very interested in it because I was like, I've never wanted to play golf. When I was younger, he tried to push me to do junior tournaments, but I was never into it. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take a chance. What's one practice? So I go and I start practicing with the team. And for some reason, we didn't have enough girls on the team. So Sarah, you're going to play fifth man. I was like, what? I was like, when? I was like, this is my third week of practice. You're going to come to the tournament with us. And I was like, okay. So I went to the tournament and I shot the best score or else I thought it was the best score. I shot a 125. And to be completely honest, I thought that was good. And it wasn't until all my teammates were like, yeah, I shot 80, 85. And I was like, wait, what? Is the higher the score worse? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh. So being the perfectionist that I have been and still am, I was like, all right, this isn't good enough. And I think after that first tournament, the golf bug bit me. And ever since then, I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to be good, to get a good score out of something that I've never done before. So that's how I fell in love with golf, and that's how I started. By my senior year, I was shooting in the 90s consistently and would occasionally shoot in the 80s in practice. And one tournament, I was lucky enough to shoot an 83, which caught the attention of a college coach at a Division II school in Texas. And I was so nervous because I was always down. I was like, there's no way. I started so late. I'm not going to be able to play in college. And lo and behold, started talking to this coach, and everything just seemed to start working out. And he goes, you haven't been playing that long, but I see potential. I was like, okay, he sees potential. Maybe I can do this. So I go to that school for 2 years. Things didn't work out with, my redshirt year and my eligibility, but I'm blessed to now be playing on one of the best junior college teams in Arizona with my co-host, Presley, and my best friend, Presley, and my teammate. So that's really how I got started in golf, and that's my little path that I've taken thus far. And, in future episodes, we'll be able to dive more into my experience at the previous school, but that's really how I got started. But, yeah, that's about it.
So I definitely relate to you about the whole, I started because of my dad. And so I've been playing, I picked up a golf club around 7th grade. 7th and 8th grade, I just would go with my brothers and my dad, and I'd play. Never really played in tournaments, shooting hundreds, just it was something to keep me busy. So I was on the golf team all 4 years of high school. I hated it. I played because it was time for me to spend with my dad. We'd go and we'd bond on the golf course, but practice I hated. I didn't like the tournaments. I didn't like that every day I would want to go home and take a nap after school, but they're like, where are you? I'm like, I'm on my way, and I just wanted to take a nap, and it was so awful, but I got through it. I went, and I didn't think I was good enough for college. I never put in the time to think I was good enough for college. I kind of put in half effort with golf for 4 years. I would go to the range, and I'd be like, look, I'm at the range, guys. But I wasn't at the range. I was somewhere else posting on Snapchat that I was at the range, but I wasn't I wasn't really doing what I should have been doing. So I was playing in a tournament my senior year, and my dad got the opportunity to caddy for me, and we got paired up with this other girl and her caddy. And we're on like the third hole, the third tee box, we're waiting, and her caddy was like, hey, like, are you playing college golf? And I was like, oh no. And he was like, why? And I was like, I don't think I'm good enough. And he literally looked at me and was like, you are so stupid. I was like, oh, really? I'm like, what do I say to that? That's so awkward. And then he's like, do you know who I am? I was like, no. At this point, I'm like so embarrassed because I'm like, this guy's telling me I'm stupid and then he thinks I know who he is. But lo and behold, it was now my golf coach, and he was like, I'm the MCC golf coach. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, it's so good to meet you. And he was like, I want you on my team. Like, this is insane. Like, you should be putting like this swing to work. And I told him, I was like, I'm just letting, like, my confidence isn't there right now. Like, I'm trying to get better. And then after that tournament, like, I had a switch. Like, I was like, someone believes in me. Like, I should believe in myself. Like, I can actually do this. So since then, my confidence still shaky at sometimes in tournaments. Like, I went and shot like a 98 and then an 83. Like, my confidence is not the purest right now. I don't want to come on here and be like, yeah, I switched after that and now I'm such a confident golfer. But it comes with time. And since then, like, being on the team, practicing every single day, like, making the most of my practices and, like, getting in the routine of just, like, bettering myself even outside of golf, just like getting in the routine of, like, what do I want and what do I want to go after, and I actually like have the like ability to get to those goals, like, whereas before in high school I was like, like, that's like those my big goals, like, I'll never get to them, like, that's just
And I think like what's so similar between us is like we didn't exactly have the same start, but we kind of like met at the same point whenever we were in our senior years of high school, like not having confidence in ourselves, like not believing that we could do it. And, like I had a little bit of a, how do I say this? I had a little bit of a bump in the road at my previous school, but now I think with our coach and our team now, I can definitely see a change in from when we first met last fall at the end of summer. Like, we're totally different players now, totally different mindsets. And I think it really comes into us just like going through the grind as well as having a coach that believes in us.
Yeah. And then I think it's also kind of crazy. Like, I think it was like the third conversation we've ever had was like, oh, like, what do you want to do when you're older? I'm like, oh, broadcast journalism. You're like, no way, me too. And then we're both like, yeah, like, I want to do a podcast. And I'm like, wait, you want to do a podcast? And you were like, no, yeah, like, I want to do a podcast. I was like, well, I want to do one about life. And you're like, well, I want to do one about golf. And I was like, this is so perfect. We could literally do a podcast together and like literally touch so many girls' lives who are just starting golf, who don't have the confidence, going through all these life lessons. Like, I'm so grateful that we decided to like share all of these lessons that we're learning and that have learned, just to get the message out there. And I wish that we had this when I had just started. I would have been probably a lot more ahead in my game than I am right now. But, everyone learns in their own time. Everyone needs to go through things to learn. There are some people that, like, need to touch the stove to know it's hot. Like, or there's some people that, like, oh, hey, it's hot. Oh, okay, I won't touch it. Yeah. Everyone has their own ways of learning. And I'm just so excited just to share, like, everything that we're going through and
that we have been through. And
especially as a girl, too. Like, that is so hard. Like you said when you first were talking, like, it's a guy sport. It is mainly a guy sport. We have so many more guys on our team than we do girls. The biggest thing I hear is, girls, you can go ahead and tee off first, as if, like, since we hit shorter than them, but they say it, like, you can tee off first. Like, there's so many just, like, guys versus girls.
I definitely wish that there was someone like us when I was younger and when we first started, because I think I would have had a lot more confidence in myself a lot sooner, because something that I realize is there's always going to be someone prettier, there's always going to be someone stronger, there's always going to be someone smarter, there's always going to be someone with more. And I always stuck with comparing myself to other people and where they were at with their journey, and now more specifically where they're at with their golf game and their golf career. But I just really wish there was someone like us to model after when I was younger, because I think if I would have realized that I'm my own self, I'm my own game a lot sooner, I think it would have been a lot easier. But I think that's what makes this podcast cool, is because now we can be that for other people.
Yeah, and kind of like what you're saying, like comparing. I compared so much, and I think that's why I didn't think I could ever get the job done, kind of, because there was already girls getting the job done. There was already scholarships given out to them. I never realized, I could be one of those girls, and I'm playing against myself. I'm playing against the course.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know exactly what the exact statistic is, but I remember I was still kind of doubting. I was talking to some Division III schools, and one of the coaches brought it up to me that I don't know if this is the exact, so don't quote me on this, but around 80% of women's golf scholarships go unused. The scholarship money just sits there.
Yeah.
And it's okay, well, there's a problem, and the problem needs to be solved, and there's a market for it. And I think that's exactly what this podcast is going to do. We're going to bring something that no one's ever heard something like this before, where golf and life meet together from the perspective of two female college golfers who have been through it all.
Yeah. And
are still learning to go through a lot more.
Yeah. And I think when you say 80% of scholarships go unused, I completely agree with that. I don't think they're necessarily the D1 scholarships. Mm-mm. But there are so many opportunities.
Division II, NAIA.
Just because you're not a Division I player does not put you lower than any other player. Mm-mm. If anything, you should be proud. I am proud to be playing for a junior college. We get to play, we get to practice, we get the same experience.
Exactly.
We have the same dedication, and eventually, maybe we'll end up at a 4-year, maybe we'll go to a D1. It just is everyone's different path, and
I wish I would have learned the lesson sooner that it does not matter what division you're playing. If you look at it on paper, you are playing a college sport. Less than I think 1 or 2% of people go on after high school to play a college sport. College is college. A college sport is a college sport. It is your job to define how serious you take it or not.
That is actually such a great point, that you don't let the division of your school define you. You don't let your golf score define you. Nothing defines you. You define yourself. And you tell yourself everything about yourself. People can tell you, I've had it already. Oh, you play for Mesa Community School? Yeah, heck yeah, I play for Mesa. I'm so proud to play for Mesa.
Exactly. And I think I was at a Division II school before. I was this is so cool. I'm in Texas. I'm at a school right below what Division I players play. And from experience and just off of coaching experience, I can already tell you now the coach we have in the program that we're a part of is 1,000 times better. Yeah. 1,000 times better. Our coach is as good as just as any other coach or team or program out there. It doesn't matter the division. What matters is the people and the community and the team that you create within that.
And honestly, 100% agree with you. I could go, just theoretically, I could go to a D1 school, right? Mm-hmm. I could have my head filled so much that I don't put in the effort. I said, I already made it here. I'm just going to ride the wave.
But would you be playing in tournaments? Would you be gaining experience? Would you be having fun?
Would I still push myself? I said, I got to my D1, but am I still saying, even though I'm at the top, am I still going to put in the effort? Am I still going to get good grades? Am I still going to try to even go further than that? Where I've just met so many players that have had that mindset, whereas there's so many D3, D2, junior college players that I know that are that's such a goal I can get to. So it's almost it's so much fun just working for that, you're still pushed. There's still so many levels to go to.
Exactly. And I don't know a lot about sports, to be honest, other than golf, because golf is my number one passion in sports. But I'd have to look up and do some research. But a lot of professional athletes, if you really look into it, especially football and stuff, I know that some of them started at Division III schools and they're playing in the big league. So it literally does not matter where you come from or where you start. It just matters what you do with what you've been given.
Yeah, no, exactly. And honestly, it might even fit better for your situation. We know a player that she thought it was, I know actually my personal experience, I know that I'm supposed to be at a junior college. It fits better for you. You don't want to push an opportunity and try to make it work when it's not supposed to happen. You don't, everything's supposed to happen for a reason, even if kind of Corona happened, it kind of was a setback for everyone. There wasn't a season, I think, last year. No. This whole year you're getting back for eligibility. So it's just kind of just making the most of it, understanding that some things are going to happen, that's just you have to make the most of what you've been given. And I think a lot of people don't understand is they're almost ashamed, I didn't get to play for them, but that doesn't mean you can't. Mm-mm. You might just have another year of working hard at a lower school, but you're still playing.
Mm-hmm.
You're still having that college experience.
Exactly. And I think what's so great about it is like, what are the odds that we both different paths, but we meet at this school, we become friends, we start to get closer, we share our common interests, and we're like, oh, that's crazy.
Literally, like,
but literally, if it wasn't for this school and this like junior college, BPink Golf and Life podcast would have not become a thing.
No, exactly. And to go to our logo back here, we spent so much time, like literally back and forth, just like we need to perfect this. Like it was so much in the making. I just want to know, what is your favorite thing about our logo?
Oh, I'm so excited to talk about this. The first thing that stands out to me, and like the biggest thing that stands out to me, is the bee. And the one thing that stands out to me about it is that it symbolizes a lot of things, you know, throughout future podcasts, we're going to get more in depth with what our logo means, but the B stands for something. So if you're going to become something, if you're going to become anything, become amazing.
I love that. Because in reality, like, you're going to become something whether you try or not. You could sit on the couch all day and you're going to become a couch potato. You're going to become lazy. So why not change that and say, I'm going to set goals, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to get good grades, I'm going to dedicate myself and become amazing. Like,
exactly.
Just set yourself to such higher potential and higher standards. And I love that.
Exactly. And I think it matters what you do with it. And I don't know, I think we've kind of all collectively just talked about.
It's so perfect. I love it.
I literally can't wait. I can't even speak right because
There's
I'm just so excited to get going and keep talking about what we've learned. But until then, I want our listeners and our viewers to always think pink, do pink, and be pink.